Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Right now, at both locations of Team Honda, the Dream Deal sales event is now even better. For a limited time, get 0% financing on a great selection of certified Hondas. The savings are yours at Team Honda on Segan Lane in Baton Rouge and Team Honda of Acadiana on I-49, just south of Opelousas.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hello and welcome as we start the Thursday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours and your little slice of chilly South Louisiana since the last time we had to spend some time with you and yours. We start today's show as we normally do with Louisiana news. If you could, just a tad bit, I would appreciate you sincerely. In the back. Okay. Tell them move to the front. We start with Louisiana news and the fact that we continue in this state to fail our children. The Office of Juvenile Justice has, in recent memory, been in the news a lot with riots at juvenile detention centers, threats of moving juvenile offenders to Angola. You're all familiar with the stories. Well, this week, the Office of Juvenile Justice sent out a letter pleading with judges to allow some of these young inmates to get out of state custody because we no longer have beds to house them at juvenile facilities. The letter was penned by William Summers, the head of the Office of Juvenile Justice, saying that long-term stays for some juvenile offenders and, of course, the riot that completely destroyed a dormitory at a facility in Monroe has now pushed that agency to the limit as far as being able to house these troubled juveniles. Quote from the letter to judges, "We're asking your consideration to grant these motions as there is no other way to remove youth from the local detention centers pending placement unless we first safely release those youth who qualify for community-based rehabilitation services." This is a clear failing of our young people. Now, for the record, there are many of us that understand what we were like when we were young. All of us did dumb, stupid stuff. Some of us got caught, some of us didn't. But that's a different show for a different day. But the fact of the matter is, we are sending a message to our young people that there is no accountability under certain circumstances. The fact of the matter is, if they're not being taught this at home, then it is society's responsibility to teach them. I was so very blessed growing up as a child that my parents taught all of their kids, you can learn discipline at home, You can learn self-control at home, or you can choose to ignore those lessons, go out into society, and then society will be more than happy to teach these things to you. But rest assured, when society teaches you, it's a whole different ball game from when I try to teach you at home. This is something that's not acceptable, y'all. And the fact of the matter is, the Louisiana legislature, Governor John Bel Edwards, they are failing our children. Now, it just occurred to me as that was coming up and coming out, that it's not just on them. This is a massive parental failure. And when all is said and done, I am one of those, as a conservative, that believes you should give parents all the tools they need to instill discipline, self-control, what's the other phrase I'm looking for? Conflict resolution. All of this should be done at home. But when it is not, and the results are manifested on society, we owe it to these young people and to society at large to make sure that we have the facilities to house these individuals. At the end of the day, if it were only themselves that they were harming, that would be one thing. But that's not the case. Society deserves to be protected from these individuals that either through parental failures or simply on their own decide that they are not going to abide by the rules of a civilized society. Then we, the public, deserve to have the assurance that we've got a place to put these kids. Pure and simple. Society deserves to be protected from individuals that let us know in no uncertain terms, we don't care about your rules and we're not going to abide by them. It is a sad commentary that we've reached this point. And hopefully, sometime in the near future, we will do better by our children and our society. Speaking of children, yet another top-ranking official with the Department of Children and Family Services has announced at the end of the year, I've had it. I'm out of here. Renda Hodnett with the Department of Children and Family Services holds the title, let me be sure that I get this right, Assistant Secretary of Child Welfare. That puts her specifically in charge of strategic planning, development, and oversight of the state's child welfare system. Let me say for the record, in the many, many years of doing radio in Baton Rouge, I had the opportunity to have both Renda Hodnett, Renda, and Secretary Marquita Walters on my show any number of times. I cannot tell you the dedication that both these women had to the children in our state. They sat down with me on God knows how many occasions, and every single time I came away under the impression that these women have a passion for children, for that agency, and for their jobs. But the fact of the matter is, any one of us working in any situation where, for whatever reason, the powers that be refused to give us the tools that we need to do the job adequately, any number of us that were employed by individuals that gave us excuse after excuse after excuse as to why we were short-staffed, undermanned, not having enough resources to do the job adequately. There's not many of us that would stick around and continue to beat that horse upside the head. We just wouldn't. Most of us, at some point, would say, you know what? The kids deserve better. I deserve better. I'm out of here. And I cannot blame them. When you're talking a state agency that at last count was some 400 people short, just imagine where you work. And I don't know how many individuals work where you work, but imagine a sizable percentage of the people there, those positions were not filled. And as much as you love that job, as much as you love your work, what you do there, at some point, you would simply throw your hands up in exasperation, saying, you know what, if these folk don't care any more than this, why should I care? I mean, you know, being human, we all have our limitations. And the fact of the matter is, if you are a, quote, professional, there are any number of other occupations out there that you can choose to pursue, working for agencies, businesses, and the like, that care enough to staff the agency the way it needs to be. It is a sad commentary to watch us lose, in this particular instance, all of the experience, the expertise, the knowledge that both of these fine women brought to the table. It's a sad commentary. And hopefully, and based upon what we've seen in recent memory, I don't have a whole lot of stock that this is going to happen, but hopefully, sometime in the near future, the, quote, powers that be are going to say, you know what, enough's enough. This is the problem, sort of problem, that we were elected to solve. And it's obvious they've done a horrible job so far. The alarm had been sounded a while ago, and nothing was done to alleviate the problem. And sadly, now, we, in recent memory, had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old to die from fentanyl poisoning. You know, it pains me to say it, but to me, it is akin to the drunk driving problem that we have in Louisiana. Until the right person's loved one dies, it's not going to get any better. God knows I hope I'm wrong, but experience typically is the best teacher. And after 42 years of doing this and following this sort of stuff, I pretty much know that unless and until the right person's loved one dies or is impacted, we will find a way to continue making excuses and let it happen. First break of today's show. When we come back, I want to talk with you about perception. You know your buddy Clarence is a big believer in perception. And something happened this week that really spoke volumes to me, and it involves the highest ranking person in our state. That's next, when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Gallagher. This is Roy Fletcher. We hope you'll join us for Fletch Nation, especially if you like talking politics.
Hey, come and join us. We'll give you the information, and then we'll give you the context. And by the way, we'll give you fun too.
Lots of fun. We hit the local races, the state. We even look at what's going on all across America. And by the way, this space is available. If you'd like to talk about advertising, send your emails to Roy Fletcher at royfletcher.com and join us every week here on the Pelican for Fletch Nation.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS
garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Make the most of every moment together in a 3-row Mazda CX-9. Find yours during the season of inspiration.
Make no payments for 90 days on a new CX-9 during the season of inspiration at Team Mazda.
Hi, gang. Clarence Bugs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Bugs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of the Clarence Bugs Show. In this segment, I want to talk about perception. You know full well that I'm a big believer in perception. And for many people, perception is reality. This week, on the campus of Southern University, the 50th year commemoration of the murder of Leonard Brown and Denver Smith was held. For those of you that are too young to remember, Leonard Brown and Denver Smith were two individuals taking part in a peaceful protest on the campus of Southern University, protesting educational inequities in HBCUs and other colleges in our state. National Guard and law enforcement was called in. They ended up firing on the crowd. And Leonard Brown and Denver Smith, whose name, by the way, graces the Union at Southern University, were killed. No one was ever charged in their death. FBI and subsequent investigations narrowed it down to potentially 3 law enforcement officers that were involved in the shooting of these 2 students. No one was ever charged. No one ever served any time. No one ever brought to justice. This week, Governor John Bel Edwards issued a formal apology to the families of these 2 students. I found it particularly ironic, disturbing, and telling that this official apology was made 50 years after the fact and a couple days after Governor John Bel Edwards skipped the legislative panel's hearing on the murder of Ronald Green. You know, there, I guess, is something to be said about attempting to heal old wounds. But many people that I've talked to since the governor issued this formal apology are of the opinion, as am I, by the way, that this is something that happened 50 years ago. Not in any way, shape, or form that the apology is not warranted. It should have been done many, many years ago, as well as the administration of justice should have been done many, many years ago. But for something that did not happen on his watch, to take the time to do that while completely ignoring the Ronald Green murder that happened on his watch reeks of pandering. It absolutely reeks of pandering. I understand that those families will never get over this unless and until justice has been served. And even then, after it taking 50 years to happen, they may not get over it then. But for Governor John Bel Edwards to do this, issue this official letter of apology, mere days after allowing something that happened on his watch a little over 3 years ago, reeks of pandering. There's no other way to put it. And the fact of the matter is, when all is said and done, as some people have pointed out to me, all three of the victims here, Leonard Brown, Denver Smith, and Ronald Green, were all men of color. I would have rathered the governor rearrange his schedule and make an appearance at this hearing to give us more clarity, even if there's no clarity involved. There's nothing he could tell us that would shed any more light. At least it would have shown a willingness on his part to step up to the plate and attempt to give the citizenry of our state, not to mention the family of Ronald Green, if not closure, at least the confidence that the state stands behind its citizens and the lives lost at the hands of individuals employed by the state. As a man of color, I'll be honest with you, that was insulting to me. For you to skip that hearing and then come out mere days later with this so-called official apology smacks, reeks, stinks of pandering. Now, the fact of the matter is, the folks that were impacted by this, the folks that paid the most attention to this official policy, the overwhelming majority of them are people of color. And in this state, the overwhelming majority of people of color are Democrats. They are members of his base. Hence, it reeks of pandering. If you, as the chief executive officer of our state, were so moved to issue an apology to something that you had nothing to do with, something that happened 5 decades ago, if you were sincere about that, there should be some spillover, meaning you would do a heck of a lot more than you've done so far in bringing justice to the family of Ronald Green. I mean, after all, this happened on your watch. This happened as you were the chief executive officer of our state. Not to diminish in any way, shape, or form the horrific tragedy of what happened to those two young men on the campus of Southern University. But the fact of the matter is, right now, it's all commemorative. We will probably, if we haven't 50 years later, found out who was responsible, we probably never will. And the fact of the matter is, some 50 years removed, I don't have any statistics in front of me, but conventional wisdom and life expectancy would say 50 years removed, whomever it was that fired the shots that killed those two students are either at the end of their life expectancy or they've already died. Now, that's easy for me to say because that was not a family member of mine. If it was, I would probably say, Clarence, I don't care if they got 3 days left to live. I want to see justice served. And I would be hard-pressed to disagree with that. But the fact of the matter is, we are still dealing with something over 3 years now that happened on his watch. And the last meeting that the legislative panel charged with getting to the bottom of all of this, he chose to skip. Now, I will leave to you to decide what that says about the legislative panel. I will leave to you to decide what that says about Governor John Bel Edwards. I will leave to you to decide what that should say to us as a society. But the only thing to me as a man of color, the only thing more insulting than having these two families wait 50 years for an apology and still there's no justice is having this come about from a governor who mere days ago decided I can't adjust my schedule to meet with the legislative panel that is charged with rendering justice to the family of Ronald Green. Yeah, there is a part of me that is gratified that those two families finally got a much needed apology. But you know, there's a part of me, after watching this unfold, that makes me wonder, are we going to have to wait 50 years to find out and see justice served for the family of Ronald Green? Typically, experience is the best teacher. I will leave to you to decide what this experience should lead us to expect. Just an observation. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about perception. Holidays just around the corner. Been to the grocery store yet? Looked at prices lately for what Thanksgiving dinner's going to cost you? Well, there's a national pundit from MSLSD that says everyday Americans knew nothing about the word inflation until the Republicans decided they were going to make it a campaign issue. Yeah, got it. Let me get this break out of the way. We'll continue the Thursday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show next on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Right now, at both locations of Team Honda, the Dream Deal sales event is now even better. For a limited time, get 0% financing on a great selection of certified Hondas. The savings are yours at Team Honda on Siegen Lane in Baton Rouge and Team Honda of Acadiana on I-49 just south of Opelousas.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Caught spiders?
Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, life is a funny thing, and particularly in a country like ours, where we have the freedom and the ability to get news, opinions, viewpoints from wherever we choose to. Unlike places like China, where there are official state-run news agencies. If you are anywhere near my age, you know full well Pravda. All you young people, you might have to pull out your cell phone to look it up. In Russia, where they for many years controlled what people were allowed to see, hear, and learn. As Americans, we treasure the ability to access information, facts, figures, statistics, etc., 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 and then form our own opinions. I guess it is a bit of a double-edged sword in that in a free society like ours, you have individuals that are put in positions to try and disseminate information and also, of course, steer your opinion. You've heard me say, God knows how many times, how I feel about the mainstream media. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN LOL, and MSLSD. All you have to do is watch, listen, And you very quickly find out that one, these people have nothing in common with ordinary, everyday, hardworking, average Americans. And two, they are of the opinion that you are so stupid you cannot see through the lunacy that they are spewing on the airwaves. For example, Joy Reid of MSLSD. You ever notice in liberal media, people that have certain names are the ones that have the least of what their name implies? Joy Reid, that woman has the least amount of joy of anybody I've ever seen. Sunny Hostin, least sunny person on the planet. But I digress. Joy Reid last week insulted you and your wallet by claiming everyday Americans didn't know anything about inflation until the Republicans made it a campaign issue. Quote, it's interesting, Republicans are doing something they don't normally do, which is not use the common tongue, not just use common English like they sort of do on their campaigns like they do with crime. She went on to say, you Americans were taught the word inflation. Quote, most people who have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught the word, including people on TV and newspapers. They've been taught the word. That's interesting. Have you been to the grocery store lately? Have you been to the gas station lately? Have you looked at the price of used and or new cars lately? But this buffoon says Americans didn't know nothing about inflation. Now, it just occurred to me. I will give her credit in one regard. Until Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got into the White House, there was literally no inflation. So with inflation now being the highest it's been in 40 years, if I take her at her word, that would mean that Americans 40 years of age and younger never had to deal with inflation like this. So while the media, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, while the media has taught them, a simple trip to the grocery store has taught us a whole lot more. Now, it's one thing for this woman to say this. It is something else entirely for her to think, you're so stupid, you won't know any better. Now, I don't know how many of you have already been to the grocery store to get what you're going to get to fix Thanksgiving dinner, but I'll give you a heads up. This year, if you are planning on baking a pie for dessert to go with Thanksgiving dinner, it's gone up 18.6%. If you want ice cream to go along with that pie for dessert for Thanksgiving dinner, ice cream prices are up 13.8%. 18.3%. If you want canned fruits, vegetables, and that includes the traditional cranberry sauce, you want some of that? It's going to cost you 18.7% more. If you are one that likes potato salad with your Thanksgiving dinner, fresh potatoes are up 15.6%. What's Thanksgiving without dinner rolls? Well, when you pick them up off the shelf and put them in the basket, if you can afford it at all, you will pay an extra 13.6% for dinner rolls. Can't have Thanksgiving dinner without butter. Got to have butter for the rolls. Got to have butter to go in the pie recipe. Got to have butter to go with God knows any number of other things. Price for butter is up 26.7%. Salad dressing. Those of us that had wonderful mothers that taught us got to eat a balanced meal, got to have some color on the plate, not colored. Got to have some color on the plate if you want a balanced meal. If you want to serve salad with your Thanksgiving dinner, salad dressing is up 19.7%. Got to have gravy. Can't eat turkey without gravy. Can't have roast without gravy. Gravy and sauce prices are up 14.6%. Overall, I'll boil it all the way down for you. This year, thanks to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Democrats, your Thanksgiving dinner will be the most expensive Thanksgiving in the history of this nation. And yet, Joy Reid would have you believe, well, Americans don't know nothing about inflation until the Republicans made it a campaign issue. I wish, well, no, I don't, but it sounds good. I wish I could drag her sorry behind to the grocery store with me. Y'all don't know nothing about inflation. That's a campaign issue. Go to the grocery store, and then we'll see just how much you know about inflation. Oh, by the way, prices for pies up almost 20%. Ice cream, 13.3%. Cranberry sauce costs you 18.7% more. Dinner rolls, biscuits, 14% more. Butter, 26.7% more. Salad dressing, 20% more. But to help you forget about all of it, the good news in all of this is if you want to wash it all down with a glass of wine, wine is only up 3.2%. So there is a silver lining here. Most of you will probably end up drinking the whole freaking bottle so you can forget about what Thanksgiving dinner cost you thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Just an observation. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend. and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreysstoneCountryClub.com.
Tremonti's has meat, Tremonti's has seafood, Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters, huge wine and liquor selection, beer and all the spices you need, Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats, ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs, 20 flavors of sausage for the grill, daily lunch specials and game processing, on-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Thursday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, if you are in any way, shape, or form a perceptive individual, you can pretty easily figure out fact from fiction. You can also very easily, and this comes with experience, look at individuals, listen to what they say, and then, Marty, watch what they do. The elites are masters of telling you something and then doing the exact opposite. Climate change is all the rage among the left and liberals these days. And they would have you believe that the world's going to come to an end if you don't change your habits as far as carbon emissions is concerned. 9 more years, that's all we have to save the planet. Y'all gonna die, your children gonna die, everybody gonna die. 9 years. Not to mention the fact that they told us that 15 years ago. But I digress. Did you notice recently at the latest climate conference held in Egypt, all the folks showed up to tell us how we've got to stop driving gasoline-powered cars And we got to stop using all of the appliances that emit carbon into the atmosphere. Well, one rather astute observer camped out at the airport there and started counting the number of folks going to the climate change conference. How many of them were arriving on private jets? Over 400 private jets, chocked full of people that will tell you about the evils of your internal combustion engine vehicle. Now, this is in addition to the government there said, you know what? All of these folks are going to come in for the climate conference. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to offer a very special rate for you to fly commercial. I mean, after all, you're coming here to talk about saving the planet and limiting your carbon emissions. So, in the spirit of cooperating with what you're talking about doing, we're going to offer special flights, commercial flights. We can put all y'all on the commercial flights, and you come on in, and we'll talk about saving the planet. You think I spent $15 million on my private jet, and I'm not going to fly it halfway around the world to come and preach to y'all about saving the planet? How many times do I have to tell you? Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. What they did. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Marty. We got to talk to the OJs about redoing that. What they did. Over 400 private jets. Do you know how much carbon these clowns spewed into the atmosphere while preaching to the rest of us lowly peons about the evils of carbon emissions? Now, listen, y'all. It's one thing for these idiots to go around preaching the lunacy that they're preaching. It is something else entirely for you to pay attention to these clowns. You're going to preach to me about my carbon footprint for the year, and you, on your fancy private jet, in one trip, will put out 15 times more carbon into the atmosphere than I do in a whole year in one trip. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds hypocritical. That sounds pretty much like a lie. That sounds like an agenda to me. Because the fact of the matter is, let me see. You know what would be a great idea, Marty? If we would put our brains together and come up with something where, I don't know, using the internet and some cameras, you could be anywhere on the planet and we could all have a meeting without ever having to go anywhere. I don't know, maybe we could call it something like GoToMeeting or Zoom. But no, all these conveniences, all this technology, where they could have stayed home, didn't have to take one step out of their houses, could have all gotten together on the internet and done it. But, of course, now, if they did that, they couldn't get on their fancy private jets and fly all the way around the freaking world at your expense. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. Finally, before we get out of here, you guys and girls know that the holidays are just around the corner. You already know what kind of temperatures we're dealing with all across the country, and particularly here in South Louisiana. Couple of things. One, check on your neighbors, the elderly ones. You know who they are. This time of year, with inflation, the word the Republicans taught y'all, a lot of folks are having to cut back on what they're able to spend on utility bills and heating their homes. The elderly particularly are subject to living on a fixed income. Check on those folks, y'all. The only thing worse than going through all of this is finding out that someone you know died that could have been saved. Additionally, talking about inflation, I understand many of you are going to have to drastically cut back what your Thanksgiving meal entails this year. If I may, let me make a suggestion. Instead this year of fixing a meal, volunteer your time at a homeless shelter or one of the many fine nonprofit agencies like the good folks here in Baton Rouge at St. Vincent de Paul and Holiday Helpers. Volunteer your time to go help and serve holiday meals to the less fortunate. You save money on having to buy all of the things to fix that traditional Thanksgiving meal. And boy, you talk about the feeling that you get right here. There is no greater feeling on the planet than serving. I'll never forget, I serve regularly as a server at our church for regular events. And one lady walked in one time and pulled my mom to the side. She said, "Is that Clarence?" She said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "He's serving?" She said, "Yes, ma'am, that's what he does." She couldn't believe it. Well, again, if at all possible, save that money on a Thanksgiving meal and go out and help a nonprofit. They'll love you for it. That being said, time's up, y'all, and I gotta go. But this day, just like any other, I give it to you. You know what? You are spot on. America, we're not perfect, but for this old boy's money, it's the best there is, and God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you realize he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Then again, ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. We'll see you soon. Love you much. God bless.